Tell me what the hell are you scared of when in the end the only
Where's the love? Right here on this podcast. Welcome to Love Drops, where your hosts and One Love ambassadors, Charles and Diane, will share love, hope, and inspirational topics taken from their journey and world events. We will also include on-location recordings and special pop-up guests from cool places all around the world. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
whether big or small, love never fails. Oh, love it conquers all. Love never fails.
Hello to our listening audience out there on the Love Drops podcast. We have a fantastic show for you today, as we do every day. But today, Diane is going to introduce a very, very good friend of ours. She's a part of a team. Nicole and Patrick, that's the team. We've met them on numerous occasions, and it's always an adventure. I'm not going to go any further into that. I'm going to give the mic over to Diane and let her take it from there. Diane, you have the mic.
Thank you, Charles. Before you leave the conversation, maybe you can share with our listeners about the time we had in the UK with Patrick and Nicole back in May.
Well, the time that we shared with Nicole and Patrick back in May, we did a lot of walking, a lot of talking, and then some more walking. And Nicole found some other areas for us to do some more walking. It was such a walking experience. But we eventually got to some of the places where we got some good ice cream. We waved at the Royal Palace, and we saw things that we don't want to talk about. But it was all adventurous. We loved every moment of it.
Yes, we did. And we had a good meal in there too. Nicole was definitely our guide. And what a guide she is. She's very thorough. You will see a lot and you will walk a lot. But we did end on some ice cream. So that was great. That was great.
No, the ice cream was fantastic. It was fantastic. We even ate the ice cream outdoors. We got the ice cream and we sat outside. We had good conversation. Everyone around us was in a very joyous mode. It was fantastic. I thought they wanted my ice cream.
Yes, it was. So, Charles, thank you for that introduction and thank you for those reflections. And you can now
Leave.
I did not say that. No, I was going to say you can now enjoy the beautiful balcony.
Yes, I will. You ladies enjoy.
Thank you, we will.
Thank you, Charles. All right. I am so excited for this conversation today on Love Drop Podcast. Today, we have with us a very special guest and friend. I feel like I've known her for a lot longer than the time that we've actually known each other. It's one of those connections that just seems like you're just picking up and continuing. It doesn't seem like it's new. It just seems like it's always been. And so, again, met her on LinkedIn from a dear friend, Sally Arkell Bowles, and we started the conversation. I remember the first time meeting Nicole in, Chattanooga, Tennessee, and we laughed so hard. I mean, belly laugh, bent over. We walked after we had our lunch together. We were holding hands and swinging and almost skipping as we walked. And I knew from there that it was something magical and special in the making. So without further ado, here in Lyon, France, I bring to the mic my very dear friend, Nicole Peterhans. Nicole, you have the mic.
Thank you, Diane. Thank you so much for this lovely introduction. It's such an honor to be here, and also to Charles for those sweet words. I mean, it's been amazing these times in London, and thanks for keeping up with my pace there, my crazy schedule. But I really enjoyed exploring London with both of you. And also, yes, I just cherish our connection so much, our relationship, because yes, it has been less than 2 years, and it feels like it's, for much longer, and the joy that we have together, the fun that we have together, the laughs that we have together, it's just awesome. And we've only seen each other twice in real life, but otherwise, we keep up with each other, we text, we send photos, and it feels like you're just part of my everyday life, even though I don't see you so often. And so I really appreciate that, and I cherish that. So very happy to be here. I'm currently in Switzerland. This is my home country. I've been living in the States for many years, but I'm visiting family and friends right now. So I'm in the Zurich area, and very excited to, talk to you, not from very far away, just,
Yeah,
the other side of Switzerland where you are right now in France.
yeah. We are close. We are close. We are close. And like you said, our connection is
Mhm.
definitely consistent. Our
Mm.
connection is strong. I feel like we are just interwoven into each other's families.
Mhm.
We had Yonick on the
Yeah.
show before. And so, yeah, we swapped pictures and just all that good stuff. And so like I was saying, we have just such a great relationship. It's very connective, is very strong, and it's very aligned. And so that takes us to the conversation that we're going to have today, and it's on creating the relationship you deserve. And a lot of times we think about that from the outside. So I'm so excited to explore this with you from the inside out. So let's start there, Nicole. Let's talk about, creating that relationship that you deserve. What does that speak to from your perspective?
So, from the work that I've been doing over the past 20 years, which is I'm a spiritual coach and energy healer, and I help people through their personal transformation and mindset. And I've learned or realized that it's all within you. It's the energies, the energies are your underlying current that shapes your life. And everything is energy. That's another thing that I know quantum physics already has proven that in the meantime, but I'm not sure how much of this is already known. But I mean, it's down to the little thought that we have, the words that we speak, the actions that we do. But every word basically holds an energy, a frequency. And the principle that like energy attracts like energy means when we have a negative thought, we attract this into your life because it comes back. And when we have beliefs that are not nice towards ourselves, demeaning or, degrading, we will attract that. So it's really our inner world shapes our outer reality.
Yes, that's so good. So good. So, in terms of a relationship, in terms of relational, are you saying that we should start within, have a relationship with ourselves, and why?
Yes, I very much would propose that. And why? Well, first of all, I feel like we often look for confirmation from the outside, how people see us. And if they praise us, we feel good. But not everybody praises us, so what if they talk nasty, what if they scold us or whatever, like when we grew up, probably most of us have heard certain words or experienced certain situations from our caregivers that didn't make us feel very good, and that then created certain beliefs within. But in the end, we really cannot define ourselves from the outside. We have to build up like who we are, what we are about, and what we want to be from the inside. And that has all to do with, again, I'm coming back to self-love, the self-love. And this is kind of a general term, and I think there's different meanings, or people understand different things about that. But for me, self-love is really the foundation to the self-love, and which a strong self-love builds the foundation for every other relationship that we have in our life. So whether
Yes.
it is, with our partners, with our children, or with our friends, or in work, it's really, it shows everywhere. And that's why the self-love, which again is built up, in my eyes, that's how I see it, around your mindset. What do you think about yourself? Like, do you think you're pretty, or do you think, oh my gosh, I have a little bit too much hair, and maybe my nose is too wide, or, or, whatever people think about themselves, all these negative thoughts. This has an effect, this has a consequence, because that's a lower frequency that we are sending towards our subconscious, towards ourselves, that tells us, there's something wrong with us. A frequency attracts the same frequency from the outside. So if we already feel we're not, there's something wrong with us, then that will be shown.
I love that. I love that. And so I want to circle back to that self-love,
Mhm.
to that self-talk that you mentioned. And I want to ask you this. How do we shift it? I mean, I know you and I, we talk and we talk about, ways that we correct and, just, shifting that narrative. But for someone that's listening who maybe is really curious on how to make that shift in the most simplest way, what would you say? What would you say to that person?
I believe the first step is awareness. Just catch yourself each time when you carry a negative thought or a demeaning thought, or even say words, oh, I messed up again. I can't do this. I'm not good enough for that. It feels like it's just a thought, but there's really so much more behind it. So just first of all, having that awareness. What am I talking? What is my self-talk? What am I telling myself? And then make a list, write it down, and then stop it, and then change it. And how can you rephrase that? And give yourself grace. Well, yeah, maybe you're not perfect yet, and nobody's perfect anyway, but it's okay to mess up. It's okay to learn, and it's okay to change, and there's nothing wrong, and just be very gentle and very forgiving, and maybe laugh about it. Oh yeah, that didn't work out as I want to, but I can try again. And there's always another chance. And so start with these very little steps of the self-awareness, of listening to the self-talk, and then shift that I would say is a good first step.
I agree. I totally agree with that. And before the recording, we were talking, and a lot of times we are our own Achilles heel
Mhm.
because for whatever reason, and it's unique to the person, we feel like we're not worthy or
Mhm.
we're undeserving or okay, this is too good to be true and the other shoe is going to drop somewhere. I think I was telling you just about the new space that we just
Mhm.
taken and how it's lovely. It is really lovely. And then there was these thoughts that came in. Well, it's not as close to the store. That negative, toxic thoughts start trying to, and immediately I'm so grateful for this. And I start thinking about
Mhm.
what it was and
Yes.
just putting that gratitude to it.
Mhm.
So what would you say about that? And just, in our own relationship, I mean, what do you say about how we self-sabotage sometimes?
Yeah, this is a really good one. I mean, our mindset, but really our ego is so dominant and is really running the show. And and it just jumps in right away, telling us that things are not as great as they really are. And and we can change everything. We can totally change our mindset by ourselves, but it takes a little bit of time. So again, we have to have the awareness, and then we have to kind of rein in that ego, that negative voice. And the ego hasn't just come out of the blue. It's built up on experiences, on things that we've experienced in the past when maybe things have not worked out. And when we maybe were scolded because we messed up with something, and then we kind of registered, oh yeah, okay, I can't do this, or I'm not appreciated, I'm not important, I'm not deserving this. So this kind of goes back, I would say, mostly into childhood programming, because that's where our mindset is starting to develop. First, we are not born with a negative mindset or with a strong ego. I mean, we're born pretty open-minded, but then we learn, and we get to be set in place, and what is allowed and what is not allowed. And maybe we don't always understand why something is not allowed that's normal to us, that we like to do as a little child or as an older child too, but
Yes.
but then we are actually confronted with the wounds of our parents, or the traumas of our parents, or the caregivers, whoever, was your caregiver. And they get triggered by certain behaviors, and then again they scold us and put us in place. And that's when this ego is starting to grow, or the mindset is starting to grow. The limiting beliefs are starting to be set,
Yes.
where you start to believe, oh, I don't deserve this then, and
Mm-hmm.
maybe I'm not good enough, for that. It really kind of starts to form very early on in life, on a very subconscious level. So often we are not.
Even conscious
We're
of
not
it.
conscious of it. Yes, I always say it runs the show, it's on autopilot.
I agree.
Hmm.
I
Yes.
do. I agree with that. And I agree with awareness. I like where you started off with, just having that awareness. And once you're aware,
Mhm.
then you can make your choice from there. Sometimes we're aware, but we're just not ready to face it, or
Yes.
it's just
Hmm.
easier to just let it be. And
Yes,
that's choice that we make.
exactly.
I think in that relationship with ourselves, though, we must gain control of that narrative that's playing on loops sometimes in our heads.
Mhm.
And it's so funny because it's like I hear my mother's voice. Sometimes we hear the words, and we'll put that
Mhm.
voice on it,
Mhm.
you'll never amount to anything, or you'll,
Yes.
just whatever that
Yes.
statement is.
Yes.
And I truly believe that in order for us to be able to have the relationship with ourselves
Hmm.
that we are worthy of, that we are deserving of,
Yes.
that we have to come to that awareness, and we must change the narrative that
Yes.
is playing on loop in our
Yes.
heads.
Yes.
And it's practice. You said that. You
Practice.
said
Yes.
that. You were like, it doesn't just come, it's practice.
Yes.
And there's resources, right? There's resources that we can find and come up with.
Hmm.
And I say that intentionally because one of the greatest resources that I have personally been practicing with here this last few weeks is your book.
Oh.
Your book, because your book has not only challenged me. I think challenge is a strong word to say. So I'll say it more in line with the frequency of your book. Your
Mhm.
book has invited
Mm.
me
Mhm.
not only have a relationship with my inner child, because that's the voice
Mhm.
that plays on loop is from that inner child, right? But
Yes.
not only to have a relationship, but also to reparent that inner child, to
Yeah.
heal
Yes.
the relationship with myself, which we said
Yeah.
is important.
Yeah.
So, with that said, let's just pivot and segue over to that book. Tell our listeners, first of all, the title
Mhm.
of your book, and give some backstory on, just how that came to be, because it is definitely a phenomenal tool that I have not only practiced with, but also shared with some of the women in my life.
Yes, thank you so much. I know you're a big supporter of me with the book, and I'm very appreciative. And I'm also very honored to see how it resonates, with you and some other people that have given me feedback. I'm really excited about that. So the book is called Self-Love for Women: Heal Your Inner Child, Awaken Self-Love, and Create the Relationships You Deserve. And I wrote it with the intention to kind of almost provide a pathway, or a roadmap on how to find the connection again to your inner self, back to yourself, where you can start to embrace yourself and to love yourself for who you are, to accept yourself, to see your value, to have confidence, because those are all things that I see as part of self-love. So for me, self-love is not just love yourself, like kind of feel nice and lovey towards yourself. But it's really more. I mean, I really feel it's the self-acceptance, it's the self-respect, the self-worth, the self-value, which all play out in different scenarios. For example, if we don't value ourselves, it often shows in monetary environments, that we don't ask for, like, say you're a coach, you don't ask for the money, that you're worthy basically, or that you're capable of, yes, but you sell your services for less, let's put it that way. So that has a lot to do with the worth and the value. For example, the self appreciation. If you don't appreciate yourself, this will be shown very much by other people, and they don't appreciate what you're doing, then you can work, 150% in your job and be the best at everything. It will never be appreciated if you do not appreciate yourself. So it comes with all these different angles that I see self-love on, what that is part of self-love, and this has to be in place, and this can be in place. Everybody can get to that place, but we have to go and see what is blocking the self-acceptance, the self-respect, which brings us back to the inner child that you mentioned before. Our inner child that has oftentimes been hurt when growing up, that will not go away, even though now we are our adult selves. And we have our logic, we have our reasons, and our ways on, even our understanding. We might understand how something works or why something happens, but it still triggers something in us, and then we react. And this is the inner child that is still hurt, or that is still fearful, and that is still there, and that needs to be addressed to learn that it is safe.
Yes, I love that too. I love how you invite the reader at the start of your book to get in touch with that inner child, because it goes along with that saying that everything that you need, everything, every question is within you. Sometimes we forget, sometimes we block it out, but it's there within us. And so just inviting the reader to just get in touch with that inner child. And I love the little simple cues that you give to allow for the reader to do that, because some people are going to just flat out say, well, how do I do that? I don't know how to do that. And you make it so easy to do it. The suggestions that you give are just so easy to follow, so easy to follow. And it opens a curiosity, because you want to follow. You're like, this is good. I want to know more. I want to know more. So for those that are listening, what brought you to a place where you said, you've been doing the spiritual coaching, and you've been in your craft over 20 years. So what brought you to this place where you said, you know what, I'm going to write a book about that? How did that journey start for you to write this book?
I was actually, honestly, a little bit pushed into this. I've never, I've never really intended to write a book. And then I'm in a coaching program, group coaching program, and my coach decided to open up a book side of this coaching program. And she kind of started teaching us how we can write, our own books and publish them. And then I realized, oh, okay, this is actually doable. I can do that. And because I already had so much material, so much knowledge or understanding, put that way. I had so much understanding on how this works. And I know it works because it worked for me. That's the process that I went through, through my own healing. I used to be very shy and very insecure, and I would have never done a podcast not too long ago, actually. So,
True.
yeah, and I've just consistently worked through all these fears that I was holding, that my inner child was holding, that again have been building up very early on in my, when I was younger. But they have impacted my life in many ways. I have done quite a few detours because I was afraid. And, I'm not regretting anything. I feel like this all was meant to be. These were all stepping stones to learning and to growing. So it was all good. But I see myself how much I have changed and realized again how, it's the mindset, it's the energies, and it's the self-love basically. And I'm like, in the end, it sounds easy, and it is kind of easy, but then it's not. And but if you have a little bit of a guideline on how to do it, it's very doable. And I feel like everybody who wants to can come to this place where they're in flow, where they're connected to themselves, where they're, treasure yourself, embrace themselves, and then eventually create that environment for themselves where they're accepted and respected by others. It's so possible. I know this, and I see it with other people too, and that's why I want to share this. That's why all of a sudden, like, okay, that's the book I'm going to write about.
You wrote about it. Let me tell you, you absolutely wrote about it. And coming from a perspective of a writer, because I've always written from a very young age. So I wasn't pushed into it. I just had to evolve into it. I always knew that I would write a book, but it's just like the story. I had so many stories that I wanted to tell, right? And so this is what I know for sure, that when we are brave enough to step into that space to tell our story,
Yeah.
we will do it, because there are souls out there waiting to hear your story. It really does matter. So we have to shut down that self-talk that says, no, nobody want to hear what I have to say. Yes, indeed, they absolutely do want to hear what you have to say. And it's a matter of just knowing how to tell that story. So you and I have been able to write out our stories on our own. There's some people that have stories, and there's ghostwriters. Everybody, that's not everyone's gift, comfort level, or what everybody want to do. It's not their choice to write a book.
Yeah.
But that does not prevent your story from being told.
Yes.
Because you can get that story out there.
Yes.
There are people that love to write and will write your story, for you.
That's
so
true. Yeah.
Just inviting people to step into their power, into their confidence, into a loving and doable relationship, deserving relationship with yourself, so that it reflects in every other relationship. You say, I'm going to do that, and I'm going to do it with this book. So you wrote the book, you put the book out there, and how are you feeling, with your work out there into the world? How are you feeling about that?
I can tell you it's very empowering, and I totally would not have expected that. For me, it was definitely another step to become more visible.
Mhm.
And that was maybe also a reason why I didn't want to write, didn't want to write a book first. But it's, it feels like, yes, this is another level. You have a book out there, it's on Amazon, it's like everyone can get it, except in Switzerland, they don't deliver here. So people can get it here.
We'll talk about that because I know a way that it can. We'll talk
Okay.
about
Okay, sounds good. But anyway, everybody can read it, and I was totally excited during the whole writing process. I uploaded it, and I'm pretty computer savvy, technic savvy, so I did it all, it was fun. I enjoyed the creative process, everything. And then when I pushed the publish button, I'm like, oh my gosh, now it's out there
that.
and people are reading this. And what if nobody likes it? I mean, you have these thoughts. What if people don't
Yes.
like it? What if I get a bad review? It was kind of like, oops, bit scary. But then again, it's like, don't even go there. I stopped it right away. My mindset, I'm like, stop this, and I really aligned with the energy again. I'm like, no, this is a good book. This is good information. It will get out there. And so I was able to shift that right there in the moment. But I again, it's very empowering. I did not expect that to
Hmm.
have that. So yeah, so it's exciting. It's very exciting.
Wow. I like that example you just gave. We're going to circle back. So you push the button on your book being released. Boom, it's out there. And the first thing is, oh my God, what if I get a bad review? And that's that voice, but how you shifted it,
Yes.
and I think that's good for listeners to hear because it's like, yeah, I really do experience that self-talk that
Mhm.
maybe is not something that fills my joy bucket, but maybe kind of can divert away from it. And I switch. And so you say, no, we're not going to even go there. This book carries a great message. It will resonate where it's
Mhm.
supposed to resonate. You gave yourself grace there,
Mhm. Mhm.
right? And I get it. I absolutely get it. My first book that I wrote, Clearly Ready, it was very to the point, and it the message it carried is with the title Clearly Ready. So if you're clearly ready, you'll receive the messages in the book, which it did hit
Yes.
and resonate with people. But I also know that everybody was not going to resonate with my book, and
Mhm.
that's okay.
That's okay.
You
Yes.
know, you get to a place where you say it's not for everybody,
Right.
and you have to be all right with that, and you focus on your intentions.
Yes.
What were your intentions when you released that? It was to for it to land and for it to be helpful
Yes.
where it's needed or where it's received.
Exactly.
And
Yes.
where it's not, I quickly, after releasing that book, quickly just had to teach myself to just say thank you. Well,
Yes.
your book was quite simple, and maybe you could have said more. And this is thank you very much. Thank you for sharing that, and
Yes.
just carry on and
Ex-
not get stuck in that loop, but
Exactly.
let it go in love
Ex-
and gratitude. I appreciate you
yeah.
sharing your
Exactly.
opinion, but I'm not going to get stuck in that because I know that for every person that it didn't resonate, there's hundreds of people that it did. And
Exactly.
so I stayed focused on the goal,
Exactly. Yes.
which
Yes.
is helping. And so, like I said, at the beginning, your message, it really resonated for me. And it just really made me want to share it with others. I shared it with my daughter, I shared it with my mom, my sister, and just other women all around,
Yeah.
because it really did resonate. And I know that not only me, but others. And
Mhm.
that's the focus. Just know that it will spread
Mhm.
and it will spread organically.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. I totally agree. And that's again the energy that's behind it. If we as authors are afraid and feel like, oh, what if our book is not going to sell, all this work and then it just sits there. It's again these lower energies that are we're sending out.
Yes.
So when we catch ourselves in that, we just have to shift it right away or even envision it. Some people feel it. I'm more of a feeler. But some people envision it, and they see it. You just see it spreading and people reading it, and enjoying it and getting so much out of it. Or just, yeah. So actually coming back to even like, how can we shift our mindset? It's not only by just, yeah, we can have the positive emotions, we can switch the negative mindset, but we can also feel into it, feel how you want to feel, feel respected, feel accepted, feel love, and we can envision it. So using all the senses to embrace the energy and to send out the energy.
Yes.
Yeah. And then just, again, shift it in whatever method works best. You identify, it doesn't matter which one. Yeah.
I love it. And it's all in a shift. So as we are turning the corner and heading towards the end of our discussion, even the relationship we have with ourselves, it's all in the shift, shifting it into gear that we want it to be.
Yes.
That we want it to be. And I totally agree. So if it's love that I want to attract, then I must give myself love so that I radiate that frequency to attract that frequency. If it's power that I want to attract, then I give myself power to attract the power, right? And it works on both sides of the switch, right? It works on both sides. So we shift ourselves into the gear that we want to be in. And it starts today. It starts right now at the sound of this conversation.
Yeah.
So if you've been having relationship, you don't like the way that your relational meter is set right now, then raise that meter. You get to
Yes.
start right here. You get to start right now, one step at a time.
Yes. Yeah.
One step at a time.
Yeah. We have a choice every moment, every second. We have a choice, and we can, if we don't like something, if we don't get treated well, then we can, we can change it right away. We don't have to be stuck in a pattern forever and ever. But we can, we can take that, we can be our sovereign self, and take that power into our own hands and live life according to what we need, what we want, what we desire. And these answers are within, they're all there. We maybe we have to learn to listen at first because we are so used to listen to our mind.
Yeah.
But eventually, one of my teachers always said, bring your thinking into your heart. And I love that because that's where the answers are. That's your heart tells you what's not right, what you should change.
Yes.
The answers are there, and we can shift it right away. If you kind of get that voice saying, this is really not okay how this guy is treating you, it's probably right.
Yes, I love that, Nicole. And that just brings me to what I was going to add, and that is any relationship. So when you look at your relationships and you just put it against your relationship meter, does this rise my meter? Is it bringing me joy? Does it bring me, how do I feel?
Exactly.
Even when I think of this person's name, how do I feel? And if it's heavy, and if it makes you feel unworthy, right?
Exactly.
Then it is up to you to change it. And sometimes that change may be that you have to just let that person go.
Yes.
Because sometimes we can give 150 of ourselves, and people are just not gonna appreciate what we give. And that just goes back into the relationship, because you can have the best relationship with yourself and you can emit high frequency love, high frequency joy, high frequency happiness. But if you are doing it with somebody that is on the other side, it doesn't matter. They have to bring it up. And that's the thing about having a relationship with yourself.
Exactly.
You are in control of that. Nobody else.
Exactly.
No one else.
Nobody else. Yep. And that's the power you have. That's what I found. It's really nothing to be afraid of, because that gives you all the power.
I totally agree. And as we're wrapping up, you says, well, a while back, I wouldn't be on this podcast. And it's true, because I asked you maybe a year ago or something
Yeah,
around the time, Yannick, before your book is what
that's
I'm
right.
saying. I asked you, and because you love me and because you are my friend, you did say yes, but it's like you would not commit to a date. You were like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. And we could never just like set that date. And it's like now, after the book, which speaks to the book, to the message,
Hmm.
look at you on the
Yeah,
podcast being bossed up. And
yeah,
this is not even your first podcast. You've been on a few podcasts,
yeah.
you
I
know?
have. I have. I'm not a
Mhm.
fan of them. That's why I kind of pushed it, but I'm doing them. And that's actually another thing, I just surrender and invite in of what's coming my way and again challenge certain fears that I still have, and or feeling uncomfortable. And I do it, and I've learned a lot. And I'm really feel like this is actually a great moment to have this podcast. I feel like this is a really cool topic that we can get to talk about. And,
Yes.
and I think there was also probably divine timing why it hasn't happened until now. But you're right. I wasn't unhappy that it hasn't happened before.
Right, exactly. And I really want to emphasize on the point that you made because I think it's very important that you said, well, I didn't do it because I'm not me and podcast is not like one of my favorite things. So, but in making the choice to do it, it was empowerment. It
Mhm.
really
Yes.
don't have anything to do with the podcast as it has to do is stepping outside of a fear,
Yeah.
stepping outside of a
Exactly.
comfort zone. And I just thought it was important to bring that full circle because we really want to emphasize that in having that relationship you deserve with yourself, you must do what gives you peace when you're ready to do it and not feel forced,
Hmm.
manipulated, or obligated at any
Sure.
point to do something, right? So it's not because I'm gonna love you anyways, It's
Yeah.
not like, oh, you're not gonna do my podcast. Well, you know what? Delete and block. No way. It's just
Yeah.
like, and that's the thing about relationships that we're worthy of.
Mm-hmm.
It is like holding our values
Hmm.
apologetically.
Right.
And it's like, if you are who you say you are to me in this relationship, then
Mhm.
you're going to respect it. You don't have to like it, but you're going to
Exactly.
respect it.
Yes.
Any relationship that you're in that you cannot be your true self,
Yes.
and
Exactly.
that's not a relationship for
No.
you, period.
No. No.
Because when people want you jumping through hoops, the hoops never go away, people.
Right.
They're always going to come up with new hoops. You think that you jumped through all the hoops.
Right.
Here come a fresh set of hoops.
Exactly.
So
Yes.
it's just like
Yeah.
you have to be true to yourself.
You
And
do.
and you have to, you have to know that for yourself.
Mhm.
And as we are winding down, a couple of things I wanted to hit back on is like knowing your worth, just being comfortable with saying, hey, these are the services that I offer. I'm phenomenal. I come with 20 plus years experience. So I'm not new to this. I'm true to it. And this is my price. Oh, too high for you? Okay. Well, I wish you well. And I do hope that you find, that price point where you align because you want to pay $2 and you get what you pay for.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
like,
No, you're right.
and
Yeah.
it's true.
Yes.
And validation,
Mhm.
as a recovering people pleaser, it's just like that validation
Yes. Hmm.
is just like it does not help. It does not help with your self-worth. It
No.
does not help with, just your self-deserving
Yes.
relationship. Because sometimes invalidating ourselves to others, we have to make ourselves very small and we
Yes.
have to dim our light so dim to
Yes.
make them comfortable.
Yes.
That is not a relationship that we're deserving of. If
No.
my light is too bright, put on some shades or go on because I'm not
No.
gonna dim my light because that's not my truth.
No. And it's actually a part of self-betrayal. It's a wound. You do betray yourself if you dim your light, and that then creates, then you're feeding your own wounds if
Yes.
you go that route.
Yes, I agree. I totally agree. So, Nicole, this has been such a just fun conversation topic. I mean, you shared so many gems. There's a couple of things I'd like to ask of you, and I think the first is this. What love drop would you give our listeners in relationship to having a deserving, fruitful, loving, healing, nourishing relationship? All things relationship.
All things relationship. Well, it's really never compromise. Never compromise for your own. I mean, yes, we have to make compromises in a relationship, but if it doesn't feel good, don't do it. Then there's just a no. Don't be afraid to say no, and just make yourself your first priority.
Oh,
Because that's when you can give from a full cup. When you are full and when you take yourself seriously and love yourself, then you can, give from a full cup.
oh, that's good. Mm. Whew. I just needed a breather on that. That was so good.
Okay, thank you.
That was so good. Mm. So when you say that we make compromises, are you saying self-compromising, or are you speaking more of being flexible in relationship? I just wanted to kind of clear that up because when I heard it, I could see where it could be mistook.
Exactly. No, thank you for saying that. Yes, I would agree. I would use the word flexible. We have to, I mean, we want to be flexible because hopefully in a relationship we also love our partner, and it should be a back and forth. So it's not always so basically maybe that's the better way to explain it. Making yourself a priority, or loving yourself 100% doesn't mean being egoistic, doesn't mean me first, but it means to respect yourself and to truly listen what resonates with you, and then from that point of view, meeting the other.
I love it. And I love both ways that you said it because I really do love the way that you initially said it as far as making yourself a priority and then just incorporating that flexibility
Yes.
into that.
Yes.
So, and I would dare to say that in your relationship with yourself, when you're strong and you have a strong relationship with yourself and you're filling your cup, it is going to kind of help you to choose those relationships that do the same, like what we have, you
Exactly.
know,
Yes.
because
Yep.
sometimes our lights dim, not because we dim them, but because life happens. You have so much happening
Yes.
in your life. And
Yes.
so it's always good to have that circle of intimate friendships
Exactly.
that you can go to, and
Yes.
that just being in the company, you're not asking them to fix it, but you're
Exactly.
just being in the company of their light raises your light,
Exactly.
you
Exactly.
know.
Yes.
And I
Yes.
just want to thank you for being part of that intimate circle for me. I just want to thank you for proving to me that it's not how long you know. So it's definitely not the quantity of
Yes.
years that maybe you know someone, but it's the quality
Mhm. Yeah.
in that relationship. So
Yeah.
thank you so much for just a quality relationship. Thank you so much for
Of
that.
course. I mean, likewise, I want to give it right back to you, Diane. I mean, this is amazing. I feel like the trust that you show me and what you're sharing with me, I mean, again, we haven't known each other for very long, and still it was always very open and very trusting, and I feel that's very refreshing, in many ways, and not everybody does that. But then again, also I feel that might also be something that we both cherish. I'm very open, to give back if I receive it on the same level. I enjoy connections with people a lot, and I enjoy deeper connections, and I definitely feel that's what we have, and I'm very grateful for that. Because it is soul nourishing, isn't it?
Yes, it
Yeah.
is. It really is. And we each get to be ourselves. I mean, we really get to, it. I think I'm going to say this, and then I want you to give the information, but I'm going to say this because, we come from two different cultures, sometimes in the language, or just in the interpretation or language of it. And so, like you'll say something, and then like, you laugh, or you'll say something, you like, did you get that? And we started out laughing with each other, and we continue to laugh with each
Right.
other. I remember, I got my haircut, and I think
Oh,
I
yeah.
just, oh, I got, I went and got a haircut and did this. And then you say, oh, well, I like it. Yeah, it looks exactly the same. No, I think you say either it looks exactly the same, or it looks like you got it cut or something. And oh my God. And I was like, I did get it cut, Nicole. You're like, oh my God, I missed that. And then we just laughed so hard, and
Mhm.
at first she was like, I hope I didn't offend you. And I'm just cracking up. I'm like,
Right, right.
no,
Yes.
no, you didn't.
Yeah.
When you have that connection like that, you can have those moments, right?
Right.
And it's like, I don't have to worry about offending you, because you're gonna get it, and
Right.
and you're gonna give me grace, because you'd be like, I
That's
get
right.
a pass, right?
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
so, and it makes it very authentic in a
Mm.
relationship, because you
Yes.
don't have to
Yeah.
go at it like tongue in cheek, or be like, so, I
Yeah.
hope I don't offend,
Yes.
because it's just, we both come from a place of love.
Yes. Exactly. Yes.
Come from a place of love, and so we
Yeah.
can just be who we are,
Yes.
and we
Yeah.
accept each other for
Yeah. Exactly.
exactly who we are.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Exactly who we are.
Yeah.
So yes, with that
That's
said,
really where I feel like, you know, the relationships should go, because that's what nourishes you. This uplifting, this joy. That's where a relationship is just pure joy, really. That exchange.
exactly, and you're happy to
Yeah.
talk with each other. Yeah, and so that's so good. So as we are wrapping it up, my darling,
Again.
again, right, again, for real this time. How can our listeners reach out to you and connect with you, and to purchase your book? Tell them, name the book again. And if you have a website, yeah, just give out that
Yeah.
information.
Yeah, it's probably the easiest is my website, which is my name. Yes, it's just www.nicolepeterhans, one word.com. That's my website, and my book is listed there too, and it will take you directly to Amazon. Obviously, you can also go to Amazon, but there's a lot of self-love books, so it's probably a little hard to find. So the easiest is probably through my website.
Okay. And then all your socials, if they want to connect.
Yes, exactly. I'm on LinkedIn, and I'm also on Facebook. Not very active. I'm mostly on LinkedIn. Again, my name, and think there's only one Nicole Peterhans.
Will it connect from your website? So like if I went to your website, could I connect to you on LinkedIn,
Yep.
or could I,
Yep.
okay, so all of that. Okay, awesome.
Yep.
So give that website one more time.
Yep. That's www.nicolepeterhans.com.
Awesome. And I will also put the link in the descriptive. And what's the name of your book? One more time.
That is Self-Love for Women. Heal your inner child, awaken self-love, and create the relationships you deserve.
And create the relationships you deserve. And that's what we did today, and we'll continue to do So, Nicole, thank you for your time. It's non-refundable. Thank you, listeners, for joining us. Do support Nicole. Do get in touch with Nicole. I tell you, she is definitely a bright light of joy for sure. And subscribe, share, support as it resonates for you. Until next time, this is Diane signing off. One love.
Never a second will I waste, never an opportunity to taste the sweetness of this life.
Thank you for tuning in to the Love Drops podcast. Be sure to follow this podcast and share the love with everyone you know. Until next time, this is Charles and Diane signing off. One love.
Love it conquers all, whether big or small. Love never fails. Oh, love it conquers all. Love never